Go. Yeah.
Let's get into it. 1, 2, 3. Let's get some more. Have your hands. Some more.
Well, hello, everyone out there. I wanted you to see that we're doing something special this evening. We're talking about a project our very own Mitch is involved with. So I can't wait to get into it. But thank you, everyone out there, for stopping in to My Whiskey Den, your favorite public access whiskey review show where craft whiskey is king, and also home of the Fat Boy Tasting Notes. But this evening, we're going to be talking with Mitch because he has a whiskey project that he is involved in, and I want to know more. I want to know more. But
Absolutely. But first.
That's right, Mitch. You want to tell him? You tell him what to do, Mitch.
Oh, I was about to be like, I don't have the smooth second best voice in whiskey that Mike has. Hey, Mike, could you tell everybody about the Bar Cart Co-op?
Dude, there is nothing smooth about me.
The beard. I totally do.
Okay. All right. The Bar Cart Co-op is a collection of friends who create content for the whiskey and other distilled spirits public. The Bar Cart Co-op YouTube and Facebook pages have information about upcoming and past special shows, which happen about every quarter. From blind tastings to distiller panels to discussions of special collaborations and the usage of unique grains. The Bar Cart Co-op has educational and fun episodes for your enjoyment. The oldest show in the group is Distillers Talk, hosted by Alan Bishop and Christy Atkinson. It's a conversation with people from distilleries and distillery adjacent that gets into deep and sometimes off the rails and back again discussions with their interviews. New episodes arrive at the end of the work week. And if that is not nerdy enough for you, there is One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute. This is where Alan Bishop answers any questions about distilling and often puts them to the test. It could be individual grains, mash bills, equipment, and methodology. New episodes come out randomly, so subscribe. Also, I believe coming up with the One Piece at a Time is he will have a space where he can use the equipment legally without getting anyone in trouble and doing testing of different things, which I think will open the door also for some of the classes that he's going to be doing at his at the new distillery. But don't quote me on that. But also remember,
just pressure him to do it.
Yeah. And then we have Bourbon Turntable, where they mix the love of music with the love of whiskey. They have conversations with musicians, writers, distillery folks, and common folks about music and whiskey. It releases every Wednesday on all your platforms, including YouTube. There are a few bands coming up. I think one of the bands, Otis, is coming up, I think maybe next week. And then there was another band, and I can't remember which one's coming up there, but if Mr. Kevin's in the chat, maybe he will tell everybody. Then we have If You Have Ghosts, You Have Everything, which is a show about spirits and paranormal among us, as well as the unexplained and the spiritual. Subscribe on Spotify to get the 3 previous seasons and the 4th season, which is in progress as we speak. And last but not least, we have Whiskey and My Ring podcast, where David Levine talks to people in the industry and people adjacent to the industry. David really gets into the weeds with his guests, with his interviews. He does really good tasting notes, does a good job of keeping track of all of his stuff on his website, and I'm sure also thinks, what the hell am I doing with these guys? So please check out David.
Very true. So now we're down to Mitch. And first off, what the hell is with your background? I'm impressed. I am so impressed.
You would not be impressed if you saw anything from my perspective, because everything is organized on the floor. So yeah, I got nothing but floor whiskey right now, and it's real fun.
Well, like I said, it's a step to moving forwards with everything. But excuse me. You're doing some work with Bowsaw Whiskey.
I am.
Now, you want to fill us in a little bit about them or a little backstory of how you got involved? And for everyone in the chat, I'm drinking some finished whiskey this evening. I'm going with Northern Waters to start. A little bird shot. That's their bourbon finished in wine barrels. So that's where I'm starting. What are you guys having? What's everyone in the chat having? Before we let Mitch kick off a little bit about his project.
So I'm polishing off as many samples as I can. So I'm starting off with Dirty Helen Vanilla Gorilla.
Such a good one.
Rambler.
I have that somewhere around here. That's on the floor. I can get that. That's on the floor here. I can get that one. You're not the only one with floor whiskey.
I only have floor whiskey.
Sometimes floor whiskey is the best whiskey.
Yeah, it's easy accessible. It's a handy one.
Mike, you drinking anything this evening?
I am. I've got a few that I'm going to try to get rid of. One of them is one I've been sitting on for way too long. The Wyoming Outrider from 2021. That was sent to us by Miss Nancy. Yeah, I'd only ever had a little bit out of it, and I was always saving it to do something with, and I don't know what that something was. So this is something.
Hey, I like that answer because it's been. Yeah. I remember that. That was one I think I was the most impressed with out of that lineup that night.
Yeah, I have a
Joseph Magnus, but the Wyoming ones.
Well, actually, surprisingly, it wasn't on purpose. 3 of the things that we had with Nancy are I'm killing them tonight.
Nice.
So
yeah. There's a drawer downstairs that I have to do that with again, or just have people over and be like,
yeah,
here, this is the exciting drawer of samples that I have left.
Well, I'm going fishing here in a few weeks, and it's gotten out of hand how many bottles that I take for people to try things. Because I tried to bring things that these guys can't try or can't get, or haven't had. So last year was really out of hand because I brought stuff with me to Distill America. Turns out whatever I brought wasn't necessary, Mitch. But
who would have thought? Mitch Wettle people at Distill America.
So I ended up hauling all the stuff there, and everyone was like, "What is wrong with you?" And so then when I got together with them again, we went to go camping, and again it was like, "What's wrong with you?" So I decided I have a sizable tub that I've added to tonight. I bet you there's 50 samples that I'm taking to them to kill. So I'm taking that as a variety to get rid of stuff. But I pulled a few out that was like, I kind of want that for me.
That's fair. So I'm very much a FOMO person. So it's like, I really like this. I'm not going to drink it again.
Yes, that's what I was doing too. It's like, okay, because typically I just have a little bit on the show, and then
Yeah. So that's my problem. Like I'm trying to find the ones that like I got a little too greedy with on the show, so they're like halfway gone instead of like a quarter of the way gone. It's hard being me. Speaking of Memorial Day, I'm having a bottle kill party. If you're in Louisville, Kentucky, let me know. It's also a fridge and freezer emptying party, so I'm just cooking food and it's whatever I have. So if you're hungry, I'm gonna be like, great, we got like 3 chicken breasts, 7 pork chops, fried alligator, and whatever else I got.
The most random charcuterie board ever.
That'd actually be pretty interesting. I think I can handle that.
So it's sort out all the lowest bottles and put them out and be like, all right, we're killing all of these. And then once we do, you can open, or you can't open, but you can have at any bottle that's already open.
So if and I can't, that's my son's birthday. Otherwise, I would be really happy to drive over there. However, if one were to go there and if one were to bring their own sample bottles, could they pull samples out of the sample bottles to help deplete? Okay.
No.
You just get a bottle.
Is hanging out.
Well, no, I don't mean that. I mean, could they then like, well, can I take a little bit of this with me?
In your belly. Come on now.
Okay. All right. I'm making sure there are rules. This is not Nom. There are rules.
Good luck.
All right, Mitch, how did you get involved with this Bowsaw Whiskey Company?
So Bowsaw reached out to me. They saw this mug online talking about cooperage. And they were like, we're looking for a cooper to help us with this whiskey. So Bowsaw is exclusively in Europe right now. So it's a sourced brand effectively for the European market, right? So they have a bourbon, a rye, and an American whiskey. And they were like, hey, they're trying to stick entry level, 40% ABV, accessible, especially because the tariffs. Just bringing any alcohol into Europe is so pricey, and it only goes up the higher the proof goes. So they were like, okay, we want like a premium brand rather than, entry level. So what do we want to do? And they decided on a finished whiskey, and they wanted someone who could help with them with that, hopefully a cooper. So they reached out to me, and I was like, oh yeah, this is awesome. Sweet. Yeah. So a couple of them came over all the way from the old country, and toured around Britain for a few days. I'm sorry?
Are you referencing Britain?
I am. So they're based in Belfast, Ireland. So if you're pale as I am, you probably should call that the old country.
Do you know I'm only curious because having been around people from Belfast, do you know their religious affiliation?
I said the words "the Troubles" once, and that was as far as I went.
That's probably a good idea not to.
Yeah. But they were great guys. But yeah, no, I'm very much a live and let live on the religion front. So
yeah.
So,
as are many of the young kids there.
Yeah.
That's true.
Like it's changing.
Yeah, it's the older folks.
Yeah. But so he was telling me a little bit about Belfast, and he says it's great because Belfast had just bad areas that nobody wanted to do anything with, so nobody did anything with them for like 100 years, and now they have just all these great historical buildings still that haven't been torn down. So it's just this gorgeous like renewal project that's going on now.
Very cool. I think that's neat.
I heard it was absolutely beautiful.
I can only imagine.
I mean, from the kids that have been there and they talked about it, obviously some things show scars, but still it's Ireland, Ireland is beautiful. But then with that, just because there was so much history and everything in Belfast, and you could see in the neighborhoods, you could see the history of people, and that's what they said. So anyway,
yeah. So Morgan posted something I did that was, I thought, dead on, but might be a little on the nose. So they wanted to experience America, like not just the veneer, but America. Right? So they were like, can you take us to like a really American breakfast place? So I took them to the Waffle House. They loved it.
yeah.
They got hash brown bowls, and they're like, oh my God, it's potatoes. Who doesn't love this place?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was trying to explain it to him. I was like, you're going to go there, and you're going to be like, what is going on? I don't like it. And then you're going to eat. You're going to be like, I actually do like what's going on. And I was like, and everybody's going to be really nice unless they're not. There's no in between.
Like that, unless they're not.
Just expect whatever, like it's going to be one extreme or the other. You're going to go in there and you're going to be like, this is the single best thing that I've ever experienced in America. Or you're going to come out and be like, Mitch is a tool, right? Like,
where did you take us? The waffles were nice, but chairs, man.
we took kids. It was kids from Belfast, and there's a convenience store. It depends regionally where you're at. Quick Trip is big in the Midwest, but we went there where you could get a 64-ounce drink, and so they went in there because they're not used to that. They're used to the smaller grocery stores have just what you need, and so it's like, well, what did you think of Quick Trip? And they're like, we didn't know you could buy cola in a bucket, and they thought it was fantastic. And then I took them to Chick-fil-A when they used to do the what was it, Cow Appreciation Day. So we had like 14 boys from Belfast and one from Derry that was at our house. It's like, okay, guys, who would like to dress up like a cow today? And they're like, why would you do that? Who would like to get free food from an American fast food place? Like, now who would like to dress up like a cow? And so we had these kids, they all dressed up like a cow, and they could not believe that they just give you this food. And they're just sitting there like, this is amazing. It's like, we just fed you crap.
That's the point. They don't get it, over there.
Like you said, this is America.
Yeah. So to talk more about the project, right?
Sorry, I'm going to shut up.
Oh no, it's the best part, right? So effectively, we're gonna try and do a release or two a year of finished whiskey. First one's gonna be a toasted oak bourbon. So they have 25 barrels, I believe, of 6 or 7 year old MGP bourbon that I have kind of pretty close to carte blanche to finish however I'd like. So they got with a cooperage in France.
I'm getting fancy.
They really are. Who will make barrels to my exact specification, including like how long to season the wood, what temperature and time to toast the barrels at, like all of that stuff. It's crazy. And we still basically have a barrel shortage going on here in America. Like, you have a shot at getting some, but not really many, especially if you're trying to get, 50 or less. Like, if you were like, hey, I would like 4,000 barrels, they'd probably be like, well, sir, come right on in.
Look, we have a forest over here just for
talk to you a little more, sir, But if you're like, hey, man, can I get like 20 barrels? They're like,
or 10 of this and 10 of this and 5
yeah,
of
can I customize a little bit? They're like, oh, no. So this place, like, they'll 4 is their minimum order, right? Because that's how many they can put on a pallet. So,
wow,
big fan, big fan.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Okay, so I'm guessing not a huge company, but one that.
Oh, very large, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, I mean, they are not Speyside size. But so they are, a cooperage, and I hear wine might be kind of like a thing in France, right? So they deal with a lot of French cooperage there. So toasting is something they do a lot of, and they don't currently have a bourbon boom going on, so they don't have just the problem that America has right now.
So how many varietals of oak are they using?
So I am specifically asking
There are
for.
about 450.
We were just about to find out that there are about 450 species of oak.
Yeah, but only about 100 of them are safe for cooperage. So yeah, fun times. I'm specifically using American oak Quercus alba for this. For the first one, because that's kind of the if you've ever had Woodford double oak or a lot of your more common ones, that's the profile that I'm not necessarily shooting for, but that I enjoy, right? So if you toast it, you can pull out just so many lovely vanillas and almond and just a whole bunch of really lovely stuff that makes like a great sweet bourbon. And I love sweet bourbon. Whereas if I used, toasted French oak, it would be definitively less sweet and also probably quadruple the price.
Well, and a little more leaky from what I understand. Am I not correct in that assumption?
Yes. It has less tyloses in it, so it does leak a little quicker. But it's weird. So the entire chemical makeup of it is different. It's just, there's a reason French oak tastes different than American oak. But then also I am going to have to find 5 barrels from somewhere else to either blend in or make single barrels with. So I've been trying to figure out who has, like great aged bourbon stocks that will actually let go of them.
In small quantity or medium quantity, or
I'm just looking for 5. So, I mean, depending on who you're talking to, that's very small or large quantity, right?
I was going to say, I'm like, there's a plethora of, and I know you may not be able to, but there's a plethora of people that I would be intrigued to maybe see a second barreling come out of. Now, did you stick with, did you go big or did you go little? I don't know.
So I haven't gone anywhere yet. Still making that decision because it's just, there are a lot of options, but the problem is there are not a lot of options, right? Because it's just like, hey, I would love to buy 5 barrels from you. Is that an option? Radio silence.
so
Right.
what age are you looking for? An age, or are you just looking for maturity?
So both. So right, because it's Europe, they don't have kind of the bourbon education piece that we are kind of used to here in America. So it's really got to be straight bourbon, right? So it's got to be at least 2 years old, preferably 4. So we don't have to put an age on it. But yeah, otherwise I'd be trying to get some of Gary's experimental stuff and blending it in, but also it might turn it into American whiskey. And this first release really needs to be a bourbon, because if it's just American whiskey, people in Europe are going to be like, okay, why?
So
it'd be like someone bringing over, oh, this is Scottish whiskey. It's like, oh, so Scotch? No, Scottish whiskey. And you'd be like, what did you do?
So are you looking to exemplify some of the standard like base characteristics in the bourbon to like kind of not to say that you don't want it well rounded, but just are you looking for more of those to stand out and punch through like the
so the basic process is going to be I've got to get samples of all of the barrels before I work on finishing them, because you've got to know what you're starting with. And if some of them are just standouts already, it's like, oh, those will probably be single barrels, and I can kind of match the flavor profile and try and create something that would be interesting there. But realistically, it's going to be like, okay, I'm going to try and group them, right? And it's going to be like, okay, these are my sweets, these are my smokies, these are my, spices, these are my whatevers. And then based off of that, I can kind of design some interesting flavor profiles from the toast. So, right, like if it's like I have so much sweet bourbon, then I can, you can design a toast profile that'll exemplify more like smoky characteristics, more coconut, more, not vanilla and caramel.
Adding the depth to it, right? Because it already has a punch of the base. That would be my mind.
Yeah. So I'm not trying to just create like, what is this? That's a lot of caramel. Wow, impressive amounts of caramel. Like, it needs to have body and a progression. We talk about good bourbons on here all the time, and it's a ride, right? So that's what I'm trying to create, a ride of flavor.
Do you think that they can handle funky? Like some of the one we've had where it's just been, this is fun, this is weird, but do you think just because of their familiarity, they're better off with a safe, fun, sweet ride?
That it might be a fun, funky single barrel, but probably not like the batch.
Okay.
That would be funky because in the end, the customer is always right.
Well, when you're on an onboarding process right now, right?
Right. So like one of the things I was trying to ask him is like, what is the European flavor palette, right? Like, you're trying to do this in America, I'd be like, make a cask strength, all like this, and just check all the tater boxes, right? And you'll just sell out immediately. right? And it's like, I don't know what the tater boxes are for Europe, right? And he's like, oh, not cask strength. And it's like, whoa, that's very different, right? And, you know, just like all these other things that's like, oh, God, suddenly you have to like really, you know, like reevaluate what the end goal is.
Well, and to be honest, I don't want to say a lot more because there's obviously some edgy ones, but a lot of whiskeys from Ireland that we're going to be hitting a lot. Those are pretty well lightly put together and well married for a bunch of them. Top, you know, some of the top tiers and stuff. They get a lot of flavor out of what they're putting out. You know, like you think of Redbreast, a Power, or some other stuff. That's just because it's in Ireland or where that's what you're going to be used to. So, sorry, my brain's starting to play what you've been doing in my head on its own all of a sudden, and now I'm like,
yeah, right. Like it really is it's a shift in perspective, like a big shift in perspective.
Would sherry cask just be too much of a fucking lean in just from
right
what's over there?
Everything like it is, and then, but also I've got quite a few sherry cask finished American whiskeys. And I don't think really any of them are as good as sherry cask finished Scotch. Like
there's one or two that might be up into that realm, but not a lot of them overall. I'll agree with you on that because some of them tend to be more sherry bombs when you hit them. Not that that's not fun in its own right, but it's not as. There's been one or two we've had have been really balanced, really well put together, and a ton of depth in that realm, but not a lot. And I'd say more malts, to be honest. But that's okay. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Mitch.
Oh, no. Like, keep cutting me off. That's
never mind. I'm pouring more whiskey. I'm
moving on to the new Riff single barrel that Pat sent.
Oh, yeah. Did we even wait? I don't even know if we reviewed that one yet. So just save a bit. So just save a little bit of that one. But you can give us your thoughts on it. I love it.
It's very good.
That's the shop that will be having the cantaloupe cream liqueur set aside for us in Madison. They placed They placed the order last week. You have 6. Mike's got 6 between him.
Oh, you should have said that while Morgan was watching.
You got 12 and a half. It could be 15. So when should we say you were going to trade that and some New Glarus beer for?
So I probably
going to be as valuable? Is it going to be as valuable?
What are you going to do about New Glarus now?
So I bring it back. Like that's not an option. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Not only that, I'm thinking about posting on like maybe some local groups that perhaps exchange things and just being like, hey, got some beer you can't get here, 30 racks, you know, like this much cash, this much trade towards interesting bottles, you know.
Well, I know that works in Kentucky. I don't know how well that's going to work in your new abode, but I mean, that's a good way. That's a neat way to do things.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting moving to Omaha. It's like, hey, can you invite me to some bourbon groups? And they're gonna be like, I don't know, man, you cool? And it's gonna be like,
we need to get a hold of Jack Begadou, Hood Sommelier.
Mm-hmm.
Is he from Omaha?
He's in Omaha, yeah.
Really?
Not from Omaha, but he's in Omaha, yeah.
Okay.
It is. Excellent. So, yeah, I'm actually enjoying my sip here a little bit too much. I don't really like where my light is today. It's kind of fell down.
You have a dark spot. You have any clips working there, Pat?
I'm in the shadow. I'm going to fix that here again in a second. I thought I did it twice. It just didn't come to fruition. So let me do that while you guys are talking.
Go ahead. I switched to an old bottling of Balcones True Blue.
Oh, nice.
And it's not marked what the proof is. But I'm going to guess, since it's an old one, it's probably 50%-ish.
That would make sense. Okay, moving on to one I know we reviewed. Golden Beaver. Rapa.
I'm on to some Franken whiskey.
Hmm.
I don't know if that was quite finished, but I think it would qualify as it. No, that was like an apothos thing, right? Where it's a blending of all sorts of stuff.
I'm keeping my. I had a Franken whiskey that they put out that wasn't the one that Kelly made, even though they said it was that batch that Kelly made.
Oh,
But I saved the Franken whiskey that she sent us.
that's what I'm having.
Her pear brandy, and there was another one that I saved for samples. I'm hanging on to those for a little bit because I still have. Yes, that's true.
That's interesting.
And there's also, I cannot remember if it's in Omaha or Council Bluffs or, as some call, Council Tucky, because it's across the river. There's a bar/restaurant that is famous for its. It's either smoked or fried carp sandwich. I've had both smoked and fried carp. It's pretty good if you do it right. But I have a friend that they grew up southeastern Iowa. The family would go over to this place, 8 kids. They would all go over there to get that because it was made the way that Dad liked it. So,
is it like the flying carp, or just the Asian carp, or just
the local carp that's right there in the probably pulling it right out of the old Missouri.
That stuff's become pretty evasive, so I don't know how. I mean, I don't know.
There's too much carp.
Too much. So.
In North Carolina, we called them crappie, so no real big desire to try it, unfortunately.
It's if you like they say with anything else, if you do it right, you got to score it so the bones will break down, and it's pretty good. But yes, they're a nuisance.
So I was just excited because apparently in Omaha, the chicken place that throws the chicken scraps to the raccoons outside at the same time every day. So you get to eat there, and then they just open the door and chuck, chicken bones to all these raccoons, and you just get to see the little raccoons just typewrite, on all the thigh bones. And I was like, this is gonna be awesome, and Morgan was like, maybe not. I was like, okay, I can go about this.
Or be very prepared to throw your chicken. There's not enough that got out there. There's too many of them lined up.
What'd you do today, hon? Watch the coons again?
Well, you do that on your lunch break a lot.
I've started naming them.
But that one's twitchy.
We think he lives in the bad part of town.
The one with the crazy eye, I think he's gotten into some meth.
But yeah, they're trying to research Omaha. Good Lord. It's very interesting because the number one YouTuber in Omaha is a real estate agent.
Interesting. I guess. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. Right.
It
must be a good market.
It's a good town. It's a good town. My wife lived and worked there for a long time. That we were going to move there, and even we only thought we'd stay here for 5 years, and we were going to move to Omaha. We have very, very good friends of ours that they're there. We'll go up a lot. The town has grown. It's a lot of stuff to do. As everybody says, great zoo, old market area. It's cool. You're not too far from Lincoln. Also, you can go to the SAC Museum if you like military planes. SAC Museum is not too far outside of town. It's pretty darn cool. It's Dave mentioned the Dundee Dell, and then there's go get you some Runzas or go to Zio's Pizza. You guys are there. I'll come up because it'd be fun to go out and.
Yeah,
I think if
you're the closest large city there in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Well, if you're in one of the Lincoln or there, I'm you're in one of the two places that actually sounds bad, but has a city in Nebraska. If you'd been going to some of the other places, I would have been slightly concerned.
Well, go to Kearney, Nebraska, home of Cabela's. But on Saturdays, everything's red.
That's
It
true.
was like it was a known thing, and don't have a wedding on a Saturday during football season because everybody's wearing red.
It's impressive.
It's their protein, man. What are you gonna do?
Well, there's a bunch of places that are like that.
Oh,
You know?
speaking of Omaha and Omaha people, because I know he's not on here, it's Spencer Mapp's birthday today.
Oh, that's right.
Happy birthday, Spencer.
How dare he not spend it here?
Yes, we'll have to make light of that.
Have to give him a hard time the next time.
Maybe in a follow-up post here.
So, okay, now, back to your project. So, is there a length to the project, or is there a plan to do like a certain number of things as part of the project, or is it?
So ideally, we're doing 1 to 2 a year until one of us says no.
Okay.
Basically.
Well, so you're setting up like the main release and then kind of like a finished release every year?
So it'll be two finished releases every year.
Okay.
So this first year we'll probably just do one, just because it takes a while to get going. But my idea was to do a toasted finish every year,
Okay.
and then have a second finish that would not be toasted. So that would be like the sherry, the port, or maybe a cigar blend or something
Ooh,
along those lines.
I like the cigar blend. I think, judging by some of the other Scotch references we were talking about, I think that might play well in that area because they don't seem to be too overpowering, but they have a lot of boldness to them.
Yes, I would love to do that. If I did that, I'd probably make it like an American whiskey and blend in rye along with the bourbon and try and like just make something really, really interesting. But so that's the plan. Like, because a toasted finish, a yearly toasted finish is kind of like a thing here in America, right? Like Michter's toasted or whatever, or the Woodford double.
Yeah, everyone's got their little thing like that. Yeah.
So I think that, having some consistency with that is like a really good business decision. I could be completely wrong, right? Like I'm just a dude.
No, you're going to you want to have something that's kind of standard when you step back into going to a shelf and looking for something. And if you're only going to have, say, 3-4 things that could be on the shelf at that time, no, I think that's a nice. Your standards, your toasted, and then your even more unique one that pops out, kind of that yearly bump, if you would. No, I like that. It's not like you have like. Plus, that way you're also not trying to take up too much shelf space because we all know how hard it is to fight for that.
In America, yes. I mean, Europe, it could be incredibly different. I didn't ask too much about that.
They could go to a place where people could barrel it themselves from the barrel. Sorry, I know there's a couple over there. Sorry, there's all sorts of excitement like that.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Working on this project, hey, it's, speak of another fellow sommelier such as yourself, Richard's in there, Richard and Renita. So, in doing this type of a project, does that align anywhere with your sommelier leveling?
Yes, but no. Being a sommelier definitely attracted them to me, but they weren't like, oh, he's a level 3, and the other person we were looking at was level 2, so probably not.
But this isn't part of like something where they're like, now go forth in the world and do something like this. This isn't something that would count towards like you coming back and everybody collectively going, ooh,
I mean, they might when I do.
I mean, why would they?
People are like, ooh, shit, Mitch. Or they'll come back and they'll be like, oh, Mitch. It kind of depends on how well that goes. But I'm really hoping for the, ooh, hey, Mitch. You got samples, buddy? More samples? That's the reaction I'm going for. Yeah. But because that was the reaction my family gave me when I was like, so I'm involved in like a whiskey venture. And they're like, does that mean we get free booze? And I was like, I mean,
you do anyway. If you come to the house.
Depends on how nice you are to me, really.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Mitch, he's the F up of the family. Hey, by the way, can I take like a couple things home? No, you cannot.
Yeah.
Sorry, I effed up you taking things home, like.
Yes, here is Boons. And
I got a box just for you set aside.
Why does this have a skull and crossbones on it? No, in particular reason. Just
Yeah.
any box that exists.
say no. That stuff is it's high dollar, which means it's good.
It's
So
just
you
high
just have to
potency.
work your palate up to it.
But yeah, so I mean, to be a sommelier, they do require that you give, tastings and things like that to move to the higher ranks. So this would not count as that technically.
No, but I don't know. I think it's a neat offshoot that plays from it. Especially, well, your background accentuates why you got it, but I mean,
Yeah.
I think it filters into the discussing and talking about it in general.
So I mean, they did help us blend in the sommelier school, so that's definitely coming into this, right? And then it'll be fun, right? So I had my own little blending kit already from when I would mess around, like, oh, maybe we'll put a little rye in my bourbon or whatever, and all that stuff. Now it's like, oh, I gotta be serious about it.
Got to take
I'm writing down the exact measurements all of a sudden.
Yeah, now suddenly it's like, is that 25? It's close enough. It's not okay.
No,
But I mean, if you want to blend along at home, the best thing you can do for blending is Compass Box, because they'll let you know what they have in what percentage in their blends. And all you have to do is go out and buy them off the shelf, and they won't be exact, to the flavor profile that Compass has. But you can get yourself, training to dial it in pretty close.
Mm-hmm. Well, then you can find out how close you are to getting like some of their amazing whiskeys that have a very small percentage of old things. You're like, how much does 2% matter?
You can.
You can.
But you could get
does.
some of that off of some, not all, but some of the Bardstown or barrel releases too.
Also, yeah, Bardstown. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Richard just said it
And
too.
there's Richard. See? Me and you, Richard, right here. I just scared the shit out of Richard.
Doesn't like it when you look up in the eyes like that.
Don't break eye contact, Richard.
I think my girlfriend is petting my dog because I can hear his tail thumping on the floor. Oh dear. But yeah, Bardstown's another one to do. Some of theirs are hard because they'll put their young stuff in it, and you can't get their young stuff. So you have to go for their, which one is it? It's not the Discovery Series. It's the one that's all other people's.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you can do it with that one.
That's the fun experiments doing it that way.
But yeah.
All right, I'm going to pour one more sip here, and I think
I'm killing off this Real
Trailing
Spirits Texas Hill Country single barrel.
Ooh, that was good. The Ghost, was that the Ghost one?
It doesn't say. It just says single barrel 71, bottle 164. That's all we got out of it. It was a long time ago.
Sure.
Oh yeah, Bardstown Fusion.
I am finishing on Northern Waters Double Barrel Birdshot.
Oh, that's the one I started on this evening. So
That was good. The Northern Waters I thought was so sneaky surprising because he could have very easily just phoned in a bourbon for tourism's sake. Yeah, it's a bourbon. Yeah, it's this, whatever. It's like, you know what? Damn it, that's really good.
I know. I'm bummed that he's so far away, like because he's in what part?
yeah.
Well, now he's not there.
Well, he's like in a advisory personnel.
Yeah.
So Northern Waters, the distillery, right? Like it was too far north in Wisconsin to include on this trip, right?
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh man, we could go to Northern Waters. I was thinking,
well,
like,
I bet you there'll be a distill because they've been there all the other times.
Oh, all right,
I got excited last year because he was there and he said he was like, oh, try this. and there was something about whatever it was that he gave me, and I don't remember. And actually, I'll bet you if Dave and Neil are paying attention, I know one of them will remember. But there was something about his. And it's like, hold on a second, because there was something very fruity and sweet about this, whatever this whiskey was. And so I took it, and I can't remember if I took a bourbon, must have been the bourbon, and I put the two together, and I was like, this tastes like a Manhattan. And so then he's like, hold on a second. so then he did it, and he's like, shit, we might have to make some of this. I thought, and I was hoping that they did, because it was basically combining these two things. It's like it's 80% of a Manhattan. It wouldn't take much to go a little further, that you could just say, here's our Manhattan, and barrel age it.
Boom, done. Those are fun too, but that's almost all booze though too. Well, I guess Manhattan.
Well, that's the only way to make a Manhattan in my house.
Maybe they'll call it the Mike Hatton.
No. Mike Hatton does mean one thing. It means your friends are going to take videos of you doing stupid stuff and saying dumb things.
We did that at Last Distill America.
Well,
had no Manhattans.
Yeah, the name Mike Hatton came about because I had no recollection of a lot of the evening.
We took
until I was shown videos and pictures. And it was like,
was this in your big kahuna days?
No, this was well, to bring it down, it was a couple of weeks after my dad died, and so I was commiserating with alcohol.
Oh, well, that happens.
And my friends who were there for me and making sure that I was safe also made sure to take pictures and video. Just show me the next day. Hey, look at this. That's cool.
Nice.
And they still show up on occasion. I'll get a video will pop up. It's like, thank you.
Well, I'm excited about your projects. And is there a timeline for release? Even if, first off, I'm assuming they're mostly going to be all set for Europe, correct?
Yes, I'm going to see if I can keep a bottle.
Okay, I know what you mean. I know what you mean, like a bottle or two. Like, this is mine. It was my project. It'd be nice.
But yeah, as of right now, they're all set for European release. So the thing is, I haven't finished designing the barrel with the cooperage yet. So I have to get a hold of like the owner of the cooperage in France, which makes it a little more difficult, and be like, hey, I'm looking for this. Can you do it? If not, what are we looking at? And then they're on like a 4-week lead time, or 2 or 4 week lead time, which isn't a lot, but then it has to be shipped to America, which is somewhere between a little bit and a while. So
you're at that disposal. Are they going to ship the barrels whole? Or are they going to ship? Okay, that was my other weird question, just because of the process. You know what I mean?
So shipping has become so cheap that they're starting to ship whole barrels now rather than disassembling them.
Wow.
Because of just the quantity of shipping that goes in between Europe and America.
Now, are there any extra to get that barrel? Are there any BS taxes that get thrown on, knowing that it is going to be used for spirits, or because it's never been used before, it's just a pile of wood?
Because it's never been used before, it doesn't get the BS taxes. They still have to pay import taxes effectively on like a brand new barrel, which is not cheap, unfortunately, but it's not the extra taxes because it is a spirit.
So will they ship it with a little water in there to keep it from shrinking up?
No. So if you ship it with water in there, there's a chance it'll go off because the water can mold, right?
Okay.
Okay.
So they should. So there's a proof minimum, right, to make sure that it's not an environment that mold will grow. So their options are effectively dry or meet that proof minimum. And then once you get the barrels, you just rehydrate them. So because they're new, so you don't have a chance of losing, something that they provided. Plus, I mean, if you really want to rehydrate a barrel and you're scared of, putting water in it, you just turn the sprinkler on and you just let that go for 2-3 days and you're fine.
Well, I know there was some people doing that when there was some hot streaks before in Kentucky and other places to kind of try to cool things down or keep the humidity up at points. So that does make sense.
So if you're going to, use the barrel quickly, yes, put water in it. But if not, no. So, and because I don't know how long it's going to take to ship across the Atlantic.
Oh, that's fair. But
I don't know.
Well, and toasted barrel, sorry, since you're going that way, I would think maybe, and I don't know the time length of waiting, but I would think like 9 months to a year maybe, and I could be horribly wrong. I mean, I guess it depends upon what it all imparts from the new barrels. I guess 6 months could be a huge difference.
So, I mean, it depends is probably the best worst answer for that, right? So I've seen toast profiles take over in 3 months. Like, it can be that quick, but probably 6 to 9 months would be my guess. I'm not 100% sure, right? Because
everything's different.
Everything's different everywhere, right? So I'm basing it off of, this bourbon finished in this cask at this location, and I don't have that bourbon, that cask, or that location. So it's like, well, it's like kind of like that, but it's not a lot like that. So maybe.
And they're aging them here. Are they allowed to say where they're aging them at?
I don't know if I am. I can say they are being aged in Kentucky.
That's cool.
And it is from MGP.
Okay.
But I don't know if I'm allowed to
That's fine.
say.
I'm not
only because I don't know what agreements have been signed on that.
I'm not getting you fired.
Can we guess? Can we throw out like 50 guesses?
I mean, sure.
And you just give us a knowing wink when we're close.
I mean, it's in Kentucky. It's
okay.
Not a distillery. So good luck. But yeah. So my problem is I'm having a really hard time not trying to go to MB Roland and just being like, I want 5 of your barrels of your best bourbon, please. And I'm going to double oak them and try and make the best thing you've ever seen. Because I already love everything you make, and I've never had a double oak from you.
Well,
that wouldn't be receptive.
It's not a bad idea, but
and they're very good, but they're not. I mean, except for the dark fire, they're not like drastically.
I wonder what the European market would think of the American smoke.
I couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
But I mean, just their regular bourbon, I really enjoy. So it'd be fun to, either do some single barrels or use that in the blending stock to really, kind of elevate it.
I like that. That would be a neat twist. Like I said, it's good, but it's not over the top in anything. Where some of the other bourbons might be too heavy-handed, or you'd really have to be stingy.
But, right? Yeah, I don't know how much they've got aging versus how much they're selling. So it's one of those things with like with all craft distilleries. Like if someone comes in and they're like, I want 5 barrels, but I don't want it bottled, so I don't want to pay you that premium. I just want the barrels. It's like, can you make that work? So, it's like, no, thank you. I could sell this and make 3 times the amount of money by not selling to you.
That's another one of those things that if you're allowed to say what's in it when you're releasing it in Europe as a special blend using whoever, kind of like a Lost Lantern type of thing.
So we are allowed to say that we're using MGP, right? Because that has been
that's
in the contract.
If you're not, that's pretty. I don't know. It's
distilled in Indiana.
It's a base assumption,
right? Yeah. So
You don't say.
So the plan is to kind of do as an honest a release as possible, right? So I will provide all the data that I can, and then the company, kind of decides how they want to market that, right? Like if it's, hey, we're going to put like a little thing on the side of the bottle that's like, hey, it's this percentage this percentage that. The oak is this toast profile, this toast profile, this toast profile. It's aged this, all that. But I will give them all of that, and if they think it's interesting enough to be able to use to market, they can. Otherwise, I'll just tell people who want to know.
Yeah, tell my whiskey friend nerds, damn it, because I'm gonna want to know. So, excuse me, sorry about that. I didn't mean to cough at everybody, but
I'm pouring my last sample, by the way.
well,
Reached into this thing here. This is I went Nancy to Texas, and this last one. Do you remember the Andalusia Striker cast strength single barrel?
I do. It was
I
fucking
do.
awesome.
I remember that. That's why I've been saving 3/4 of this 2-ounce sample, and so I'm going to finish on that because I remember.
That is one of the ones when I talk about the Great American Smoke Show. Andalusia's invited for that alone when I had it. You can have something, you're like, oh, you're in the group. Hey, get over here. You're in the group. You made this. This is
That's the other thing, right?
genius.
I would love to double oak some Andalusia. Oh my God, right? But the thing is, I would need it so young because it's already in Texas, right? And they don't really make bourbon, so it's kind of a no. But right, being into craft whiskey, it's like there are all these little distilleries where it's like, oh my God, I would love to double oak that. Oh my God, I would love to double oak.
Another one that
profile in Europe would be interesting because it's smooth and rounded and everything. Sorry, Mike, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. Another one that might be willing just because of the history of saying, screw it, let's do it. And small enough and craft and fun, Deer Hammer.
Ooh, I hadn't thought about them. That's
smoked corn whiskey.
And Deer Hammer also, by the way,
Deer's
just now,
light though. That thing.
Deer Hammer coming to Nebraska.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that on Facebook the other day.
Only makes sense. It's next door, but still, yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good. I might just reach out and just be like,
because that would be one. If you told Lenny what you're doing, Lenny he'd probably be like, yeah, you know what? I got this.
So the problem would be I need it to be bourbon, right? Like it's one of those awkward restrictions that I just gotta work around for this first release. Then I can do really fun, different things for other releases.
I think they still use the chocolate malt in their bourbon too. It's been a while since I've had a bottle of that.
Right,
and look at that.
So I only have their hickory smoked corn whiskey. I don't have their bourbon.
I only have that and the single malt. You know what? If only there was a way to look it up while you're talking.
Oh gosh, that's
so
hard. I'm trying to think of other distilleries that just say "F it, I'm in." And the king of F it, I'm in is Alan, and he's not really at the distillery that can do it right now. So
I might be able to buy a barrel from there.
Yeah, but I need 5.
What would be cool is someone who had a thing for European, basically say it would be really cool to collaborate with Europe. Somebody who likes to do collaborations and being able
Great Wagon Road. I don't know if they have it, but Ollie would probably be interested. That's a possibility.
But being Irish, that might give them the nod there.
That's what I mean. It might play into that ledge there. And I know they're more with Rua, but I think they have Quinn's is like their bourbon release, I think. So, I mean, that would be, he came to mind just because of the whole attachment to that. That might be a neat place to pull something from at some point too.
Okay. According to the Deer Hammer website, the straight 4-grain bourbon is 65% Ute Mountain Corn, 15% red wheat, 15% oats, 5% roasted barley.
Ooh, roasted.
Sour mashed, 4.5 day, open fermented, double pot distilled. Yeah, it does not have anything
Oats
about.
are neat. I like the earthy.
Yep, I know.
oats.
I thought that would be pretty cool. But anyway,
Mitch is like, I didn't need all this extra torque.
I think Wisconsin might be a slightly interesting trip for me because I might also be going there to be like, hi, I can't say that I'm going to buy 5 casks from you, but I do have a very pertinent question. Are you willing to sell?
No, that's a fair question.
Well, and that might be something like Driftless Glen. They're
really
good.
good.
And Jay Henry too. Jay Henry's got a lot of casks.
And they started doing, by the time you may need it, they started doing their own corn that they developed.
Well, yeah, as Dave said, the Wallersheim too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dancing Goat, theirs would be, well, they would be all rye.
Well, they have some things headed that way that are bourbon.
Yeah, but not, well, as far as stuff they've used. But even with the rye,
they're 2 years.
I know. It'd definitely be worth asking while you're there.
Yeah. I mean, can't hurt.
No, at least you know who's willing to sell some barrels.
Yeah. Because that was something like we were trying.
We open a brokerage.
I'm sorry, but I don't just have piles of money laying around that would take.
That would be a conversation. I mean, that's where it'd be fun if you're telling Gary, but Gary's stuff would be, well, no, they do have 53s. It would just be different because it would just be such a.
My problem with talking to
flavor
Gary
profile
is I want the barrel, not
right
for Bowsaw. I want his barrel of whiskey, like one of those, like, hey Gary, what's that? And then I'm desperately trying to lug a 30-gallon.
Oh, you're gonna be there forever.
Imagine to bring a U-Haul and be like, I can load some up and leave even right now. Did Mike freeze? He looks like he got real zen there for a second.
Oh, this Andalusia is unbelievable.
Yeah, and that's.
I remember it being outstanding. I forgot the details of what made it outstanding.
Yeah, I remember.
It's just such a thick, lovely smoke to it.
And that would be something I would eventually like to do, right? Is to take an American smoked whiskey and then like sherry cask finish it and send it to Europe and see if I can blow some Scotsmen's minds.
Well, that'd be one of those things, like if you did that, with Raffi and some other people, I'd be intrigued to see what he had to say about it. Like I know he's obviously huge, but I mean,
if you did an American light whiskey, which it's great
so
whiskey.
That would be really fun for me because if you proof it down to like sub 100, it is a vanilla bomb.
Yep.
Right. And if I start with a vanilla bomb, I can finish ignoring vanilla completely and then pull out all the other interesting oak notes. That would be a really fun, like French oak finish or like super low or high temperature toast.
Yeah.
Pull out those like almond notes or the grassy notes from wood. Like it could be really fun. And
well, if you could find.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
It's going to have the same problem that light whiskey has in America. Everybody's like, light whiskey.
Yeah.
Is
but
like
over there, they like grain whiskey because it's like, well, single grain, so it just depends. But it's now there is no more of the old stuff unless someone's sitting on it. But there was, for a while, there was all that old MGP 14, 15-year-old light whiskey and, stuff like
Obtainium.
Thank you. Obtainium bought a lot of it. And that one, that super hazmat light whiskey that still was a vanilla bomb, but also Copper Sky, also in Colorado. He was on, Mike was on the show.
Nice,
Mike had a really nice light whiskey that they did too. He might be also receptive as well because, God, you got to go to Colorado.
No.
We can go fly to Mitch and then we'll drive over to Colorado.
I feel like Nebraska's longer than you might think.
Well, I will say the speed limit in Nebraska, once you get west outside the city, speed limit goes way up.
It's good to know.
As it should.
No, there's nothing there. You're just
Also, I think it's 80. It's 85.
Yeah,
I think,
85.
just like it is in South Dakota.
Yeah, you can just fly.
Oh yeah, that's great.
It's necessary.
In between Louisville and Cincinnati, I think 85 is the speed limit, even though it's not, because I don't think I've ever done the speed limit between Louisville and Cincinnati. Because once you go about 5 exits up outside of Louisville towards Cincinnati, there's not a lot. So you're just going.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, well, it's nice to see you.
Speak of the nice lady.
Yes. We've been finishing off a couple samples from you were on the show. Mike had 2 or 3 this evening, and I did one more.
I finished off the Wyoming Outrider 2021, the Wyoming Double Cask, and Magnus 27.
That and like 4 other ones.
So I would agree.
Well, I mean, none of these were really large samples.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So I was trying to polish off all the single ouncers that I had left, but
that's mostly what I was doing. So
yeah, well, I'm working through them. I'm getting through a few as well here. So,
but also, if you can't make it to my bottle kill party, I am having a bonfire and bottle kill evening, probably for the foreseeable future.
How are you starting the fire, Mitch?
Until it's gone, because it costs $60 for a trailer load of yard waste.
Really?
In Louisville. And I have more than one trailer of yard waste. But newspaper and cardboard boxes, I have plenty of. So it's free to burn in my, fire pit, but it is very expensive to haul out.
Yeah.
So if you're willing to watch a fire and drink my alcohol and smoke my cigars, we have a very beneficial deal.
Man.
You've got your night set up for a bit.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. That's awesome.
I got Nancy's over here just making me jealous again. Nancy, I had not had the Wyoming, actually those samples since you were on the show, and going back into it. The only thing I will say, my sample bottle of the Wyoming, the double cask sherry finished, the seal must not have been very good on that. And it was a 2-ounce bottle, and it was 3/4 full. Cause it just, there was heavy sulfur that came out in it. And then it was just very, I've had old bottles that had gotten, depleted, that just had this weird taste to it. So I think that sample went down, and I made sure to write that down too, so I would not forget it. But the other Wyoming, it was fantastic as I remember. And the Magnus was I was trying to remember because I didn't remember all the numbers, and I looked up, I thought, please tell me this one's Armagnac. Please tell me this one's Armagnac. And then, so then I looked up what we're doing. I was like, yes, it was so good.
I was like, yes, it was.
I mean, it just, there's so much of the flavors that came back on it, and I of course, being an oaf and having completely different whiskeys throughout the night, none of my notes to myself are even going to be completely accurate, but
no, those were all great ones.
Trying to be nice and responsible, and I still haven't had the I don't think I've even sipped the Santa Lucia since I poured it.
Oh, well, that's one that, like you said, I really love that one. And I feel like going downstairs to find some other ones, but I have to get up in the morning. This is my problem. We're trailing into like an hour, a little over, and I still have some dumb work I got to do. That's a good face, Mike. That's a good face.
Even after the quantity was not high as far as like ounces on everything, but there's still a varying level of things, and I'm not cleaning my palate. I don't have any natural spirits to do a palate refresh or anything like that. But what this Andalusia single barrel is doing to me after having all the other stuff, it honestly it's taking over my palate, but that smoke is so it's thick and at the same time subtle, and it's like it's working its way through my head. God, I mean, I remember when we had this the first time, it was just like, what is going on? And now, like, oh, I got to get down to Andalusia and try to get a single barrel again and see what this is like. But I don't think they can make a bad whiskey if they wanted to.
Well, they put a lot of time into it. They're another ones that kind of came up with their own smoker system and everything.
Yeah.
Plus,
So.
Yeah, Nancy, I'm pretty sure that the flaw is all on me. Either I did not have the cap on tight enough. A lot of times I'll tape or wax them, but I did not do it to that one because it was all on me. And I've got a couple others that I know are off because I looked at them and it's like, I don't remember there being particulate in the bottle.
No, that happens sometimes when you have a few too many to tend to.
Well, I'm usually, like I said, I'm usually pretty good, and I use the
paper
wax
paper
with the wax
thing.
tape.
Tape.
And there's
Sorry.
a name for it. Parafilm. I use parafilm where I'll tape it and other stuff, and I'm fairly controlled environment area in the dark, et cetera, et cetera. It's just probably me. I screwed up.
Like, no big deal. But like we were saying, we're glad everyone stopped in to hear about Mitch's project, because I can't wait to take that a little bit further as it progresses and to see where that goes, because it's a neat project.
So the fun part is, right, I can give updates like as things happen and kind of create like so you want to create your own whiskey series, right? Like part 1, get whiskey. Still working on getting the samples of that whiskey and finding 5 more barrels. So part 2 will be trying that whiskey, right?
Well, no, that's like I said, but it's all steps. It's the process everyone's taken, so it's neat that you get to be a part of it. So I'm excited for you.
Thank
And
you.
I'm going to twist your ear on some things. You probably might get more information from the show than you need to be like, I was just happy with going to 2 places. Now I have to talk to fucking 10 different places about.
I mean, that's the best possible outcome, right? I'm going to finish on something because I'm only going to be able to have a sip or 2 of it, and I'm going to take it upstairs to my girlfriend.
That is
Because
excellent.
it's the Baron's
So-
brand.
Oh.
How many more days of work do you have before or are you done working?
I'm done working. I am full-time trying to get the house prepped for selling.
Okay.
So yeah, it's real fun. I love pressure washing.
You know what? It can
I
be
love
therapeutic.
Yeah. You at least see some results.
Mitch, I wish I lived closer. I would totally do it. Pressure washing can be so therapeutic.
So my issue is I'm pressure washing my gutters, and it's not taking everything off. So like I've got to get up there now with like cleaner and scrub it. So
Are you familiar with the glory and religion that is the magic eraser?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I was going to use the stuff like gutter goo or something like that.
You can just go buy some magic erasers, or you can even get the knockoffs on Amazon and get them the next day. The magic eraser, it's a melamine sponge, but you just get them a little damp. It'll wipe anything off of anything.
You start scrubbing it, it really does.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty white.
Yeah, like you could go up there in the gutter and you can just go, it's gone.
Good. I might look into that. But.
Yeah, magic erasers are crazy. I mean, they're
and then freaking Home Depot will let you rent one of those like area cleaners that you hook up to your pressure washer.
yes,
Yeah.
So I was gonna rent that and do my back deck and driveway, because it would take a very long time to pressure wash my driveway with my little nozzle doing 2 inches at a time.
Yeah, they do a pretty good path.
Ethan approves, Mr. Mill. So you're getting backing. The sponges are the right way to go.
I might have a couple of them in the kitchen. I'll grab one. See.
Yeah, you'll be amazed. You're like, what have I been thinking this whole time? It's like witchcraft.
I will say, like,
and when they wear down, they wear down.
Oh yeah, they do fade away. It's not like it's a real sponge. It's it disappears.
Right, and then pressure washers aren't heavy until you're pointing them up, and you see them, and it's like, oh god, what pressure does that, right? Like when you're pointing down, you're like, this is the lightest thing I've ever used, and then you point it up, and you're like, I'm an idiot. I have made so many poor life decisions. Why do I not lift heavy things every day? They were so right. You know.
Why didn't I do pull-ups in junior high?
Right.
Yeah.
So, like I was saying, we're excited to see where this goes, Mitch. I'm glad you've gotten the opportunity to do so. I want to thank everyone for stopping in this evening and checking out the show. And as we get closer to this weekend, we'll make some posts about Distill America, and hopefully we will see you there because we love the event. You know, stop out and have a few drinks with us, and we'll figure out what we're doing afterwards. There might be a few people. We're working on that because I don't know what people want to do for dinner right away, or if they just want to just jump into a weddling and order tacos. I don't know. There's all sorts of options.
I highly recommend the rice porridge.
Where was that place again? Because I think I saw it when I was looking at stuff. You're like a block away from the place.
like we're getting it. There's not a. It's like step 1, arrive, in Wisconsin. Step 2, get rice porridge. Step 3, go to Distill America.
So we're. I didn't look up how far away is the Moxie from the from Bree Stevens. It's pretty close, isn't it? Fairly
block
close.
and a half, maybe.
Okay.
3 blocks, yeah.
So I got the address today of where we're staying because I'm the tag along in their Airbnb, and it's basically remember the Festival Foods a block away.
Yeah.
So behind the Festival Foods is a row of condos / apartments, and that's where we're at. So
okay, well, across from the Festival Foods is kind of where Moxie is.
Oh, okay.
From the pizza place. If you're thinking from there,
I'm going to get there early, and I'm probably just going to walk around the area because I'm really worried about parking now that Fred said that Willie Nelson's playing Friday night. Because I'm worried about not being able to park. So
there's I'll send you the thing for the parking ramp. It's a couple blocks down from where you are.
He sent that, and so the Sylvie.
Yeah, right beneath that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna get there earlier unless I could park on the street or something and then hang out. So
yeah, so I was very wrong. It's a half block away. So it is you are in the middle of the block and you just walk to the end of the block and there's Bree Stevens. And the place that we got the rice porridge is next door.
Yeah, so I mean, like it is literally right in that little section behind us. So
very cool. Well, we'll get hooked up with whoever because we're my friends who have the Airbnb. I think it's their delayed 35th wedding anniversary, and so I am truly the third wheel. Although I have known them for a really long time, I am the third wheel on this one. So
we'll find stuff for Mike.
As I have told them, same rules apply as your house. You put a sock on the outside door, whatever it is that you're doing. Just let me know. I will stay away.
Mike's making phone calls. He's going back out.
I just want a place to sleep. That's all I care. So.
Oh, excellent. So, like I said, keep an eye out. We'll have some posts from there, and as we come up to it. Oh,
happy anniversary.
That's right. It was like that last year, too. That's awesome, Dave and Adina. They should be pretty happy to have you guys celebrating there. I mean, I would.
You should get your own booth.
That's not far off.
With a sign that says, tell us happy birthday or tell us happy anniversary. And she'll make you a cocktail.
have to bring him a drink from a different booth.
No accepting anniversary presents.
Bring 3 ingredients from another booth and make a cocktail.
Yeah. I would go to a class that they hosted, right?
Yeah, I would too.
That's the worst thing about Distill America. You go there and you're like, I want to go to the classes. I want to see all the booths. I want to eat all the food. And you're like, I don't have enough time to do all of that.
I know. I do want to do the classes there at some point. I think it'd be fun to go and sit in on all those, but
I might. If I do, I'll pick one. You know, I like to wander too much to be gone for too long. But I mean, one of them, the cocktail class, might be kind of fun. Along with it, I think the other one they had was neat. So
they should do their cocktail classes during the Willie Nelson concert. I am really excited for that. When he said that, I was like, I'm going to listen to Willie Nelson.
Yeah,
I've only listened to a concert of his because I've not been to a concert of Willie Nelson for no reason. It's no fault. It's just my fault for not going. But I've been on the outside listening to a concert before, and this time, again at him. I mean, I think he's 91 now, because last year at this time I think he's when he turned 90.
It's like the Rolling Stones. You're like, it's their last tour. It's his last tour, and then the next one. It's their last tour. It's got to be.
The thing a long time ago, I watched. It was a thing about his guitar Trigger, and there's a big history about how that guitar came to be. It's like it was kind of a weird fluke. It was something how it was like a one-off thing or something like that. But there's a guy that does restorations on it. There was a video on YouTube about this guy does restoration, and they're like, hey, this thing's not going to last a long time. So they found that same guitar, it's not like it's a Martin or something. I mean, it's just like an oddball guitar. So that they found one of those, and this guy redid all the things that had been done to Trigger over the years, saying, here, you need this backup. And Willie's like, no. When Trigger's done, I'm done. And so he gets getting repaired all the time, where it's just like, because there's parts of it where it's just shards, but it's just, and the way he plays, and it's just, Willie, he doesn't play country guitar. I mean, he plays like jazz as country, as he's playing it. And it's just, and he sings as jazz, because it's just like, hey, free form, I'm going to sing how I'm going to change the whole tempo. And throw that out there. So anyway, a lot of respect for him. So I'm really
that would be cool to hear. Just like you said, you're in the vicinity, or even just to be able to hear it from down the block, or go to a bar that's nearby and kind of pick up on it. That's pretty. I would be doing that if I was there Friday night. So
yeah.
All right, but we're gonna have to let all of you folks go. So I want you to know that I want to thank you all for stopping in this evening. We really appreciate it. And Mitch, for getting us caught up on your project. And otherwise, see us this Saturday at Breeze Field for Distill America. And until then, remember, it's not the size of the den that matters. It's the love of whiskey. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers. Cheers.